DeLucci Show. I'm your host, Elyse. We're in my apartment. It's mid-March. It's the Ides of March today when I'm recording this. It's March 15th. Oh my God, it is still cold out. Okay, I ran my kids to school this morning. They had in-person school. Thank God. And I'm like, wearing a schmata, going to the school, capri leggings, like no socks with my sneakers, my ankles hanging out, my hair up in a gross floppy bun. Obviously, no makeup, my coat unzipped. I have like freezer burn on my skin. Like I came home and my ankles, they're red and blotchy and raw. It was freezing out. Freezing in New York right now. Anyway, episode 51. Here we go. We're middle-aged already. This podcast, we're middle-aged. We're talking about a lot of things today, but right now, fact of the day, happiness. If you want to be happy, spend time with happy people or do a good deed. It triggers a high in the brain. Sleep, get a good night's sleep. That contributes to our happiness. We're talking about happiness more, but that is what I wanted to say for our fact of the day. Those are three facts about happiness. And there's so much more, but we'll get into that anyway. How's your week? How was it? March 11th, one year ago on March 11th, the pandemic was declared. Isn't that crazy? I opened my email on that day, as I do every day, and that was the sort of a headline from a newsletter, that one of the newsletters I subscribed to. I think it was one of the newspapers, and it feels fast, like, wow, that was so fast, but it also feels so long. But that's what they say about so many things, right? The time, the days are long, but the length of time overall is short. But March 11th, 1 year ago, pandemic was declared. 1 in 3 Americans lost somebody to coronavirus. 1 in 3 Americans. And, I was thinking about how this whole thing changed our lives, and in so many crazy ways. I mean, right? Like, just on a very everyday sort of life, we are, all the streaming services that everybody subscribed to, everybody went to screens for their entertainment as opposed to outside. I know a lot of people that started day trading. I think there's a statistic in 2020, more than 3 million people set up online brokerage accounts. 3 million new people set up online brokerage accounts like Robinhood or TD Ameritrade or whatever. And that was just to try to generate some more income for themselves. Alcohol consumption. U.S. alcohol sales. I read U.S. alcohol sales. I have it written right down. They increased by 71%. 71% in April 2020. That's how much the alcohol consumption went up. Food delivery, people were getting more food delivery, although I think that was maybe more in big metropolitan areas. Home furnishing sales were up. Obviously, everybody's setting up home offices. Home fitness, gyms, that stuff was going up. And obviously, travel spend went way down. And of course, everybody was buying face masks. That's a thing. But overall, the biggest change, obviously, for so many people was the work from home. I mean, besides the fact that, you're on lockdown, you're stuck in your house. But in my opinion, I think the silver lining that's coming out of the pandemic is the better work-life balance. I did read that somewhere. I read it a few weeks ago. I don't know if I told you, but it was it said one of the biggest revolutions of this decade will be the improved work-life balance. And I read that a few weeks ago. It stuck in my head. I totally agree. If you have that kind of job, but the reality of the situation is most people have a job, and most people want or need to raise their children. But you need a job in order to raise your kids. And the problem is that, you have your family obligations, you have your professional obligations. They always work against each other, right? And this whole thing of working from home completely alleviates that. But, I don't know. Do I think it's going to stick? I heard that 2/3 of companies are going to continue. 2/3 of the companies that were allowing their employees to work from home, 2/3 of those companies are going to continue to allow them to work from home. I don't know if I'm going to be at a company like that. I hope so. To be honest, I think that the pandemic is has changed our lives in so many ways. Obviously, like we just talked about, some of those consumption things that we've done and as a reaction to all this. But the work from home stuff and the overall life balance, for me at least, realizing that I can, eat all my meals with my kids, be with them way more than I would ever have been with them, has been life-changing for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's also making me turn to complete nut job, an absolute complete nut job. But you know what? When I had my daughters, I had my kids, was I 30 and 31 or 31 and 32? I can't remember. But anyway, that's how old I was when I became a mother. And I had a crazy stressful job. And I was working 12, 14-hour days. And it was just so draining. And I didn't feel and by the way, I didn't even plan on going down this road, but I will for a second. I was so excited to be a mother, particularly when I was pregnant with my first baby. New baby, all the body changes. I was so excited. And I thought that when the baby was going to be born, my daughter, it was going to be like rainbows and unicorns and sprinkles flying through the sky, and everything was going to be lovely. And it was for a little bit. But then when I went back to work 3 months after my maternity leave, it became just so hard managing work and a child. And, everybody was, I worked on Wall Street at the time, and everybody was really nice to me when I went right back to work after 3 months, after my maternity leave with my first daughter. But that all wears off. And they expect, of course, when you get back, the day you get back from 3 months, oh, we're so happy you're back. How is the baby? How? And then an hour later, it's, let's get you back up to speed, And I really had a bad situation. I can't really get into it because I had a legal situation with my company, but I had a really bad situation. I had a colleague that was covering for me when I was on maternity leave, and I actually had to compensate him. If you can imagine this, I had to compensate him when I got back from my maternity leave out of my own bonus money at work. I know, it's crazy. And at the time, I was so fucked up with becoming. I know. You're like, did I just hear that? Yeah, you heard that. You heard that correctly. I was so fucked up from becoming a new mother. I was so overwhelmed with all the body changes. I had a C-section, major surgery. I was just getting back to work. I was learning how to become a new mother. I was learning trying to breastfeed. I had to hire a nanny because my husband and I had to work. And I didn't even realize half the things that were happening to me, including having to compensate an employee my colleague for covering for me when I was on maternity leave. Completely illegal. But anyway, there's so much stuff that happened in that time. And my point is that, I had my first daughter, and then I had another baby 17 months younger, my other daughter. And I just didn't even know what it was like to have lunch with my kids or dinner with my kids. I didn't even know what it was like. And some nights, and honestly, let me tell you, I actually blame that time, that very pressured situation on the demise of my marriage, because it was too much. It's too much. You cannot, a person, in my opinion, you cannot have 2 babies within 17 months and be working an executive job and expect it to super perform. And then maintain a marriage and a house, and and at the time I was buying an apartment. I mean, everything was just full on and crazy. But anyway, I there was a point after I had my second daughter, right? So 17 months, the baby's close together, and I remember thinking, like, is this what it's like? Is this what like modern parenting is like? Because I don't really like it, and I started to feel guilty of like, do I like being a mother? Should I have been a mother? And by the way, a lot of people don't talk about this. You see little things come up here and there, but it's not something that's talked about. And I didn't really like being a mother. I also didn't like working and being a mother. I wanted to be a mother and not work, or I wanted to work and not be a mother. For whatever reason, I didn't have those thoughts isolated because my life was not isolated. Everything was combined. I just couldn't do both at the same time. I thought I could in the moment. And my then husband did say to me, you seem stressed. Why don't you, leave your job and we could figure it out. But then we would have had to leave the city, and it would have been a whole uprooting thing. And I didn't want to do that. But it was so difficult for me. And I think that when my youngest was about 1.5 or 2 years old, I just said, oh my God, like, I don't even remember what it was like when they were 4 months or 5 months. I don't even remember, like, did my baby say her first word? One of my babies say their first word when I was home or not? I was always working. There was just, the demands were so crazy on me. And at the time, they had gotten rid of my boss. Oh my God. And then I had to, like, sort of step in. It was just a horror. And so I was running this business, and it was too much. And fast forward to now, the being able to work from home, and even if it's short-lived, has just been life-changing. And now, my daughters, they're obviously, they're all a little older. They're 5 and 6, and they're in school, and it's different. But I would give anything to go back to that time in my life, and be able to work from home, even if it was a few days a week or every other week, like I'm doing right now, because it's just precious. It's precious time. It's precious time. One of my best friends, she's pregnant right now. Another one of my best friends, she had given birth to a baby right early in the pandemic last year when the whole thing started. And it's been really hard for her homeschooling her other 2 kids. Excuse me, having the newborn. But I'm sure in 10 years she's going to look back on this and say, you know what, that was so crazy and it was hard, but what would have been the alternative? I would have had my infant in daycare. I would have had my newborn be with the relatives. I got to do that. I got to experience that, plus have a job, plus bring in that income. And I think that for the companies that are going to allow their employees to stick to working from home, I just think it's so good. I really do. I really do. I hope to God that my company also allows, but that to me is the biggest thing that came out of the pandemic. And I think for everybody, but for me personally. Anyway, moving on. And by the way, if you do ever want to have more conversations about becoming a new parent and talking about working and balancing work and motherhood, or did you become a mother and you feel that it wasn't what you thought it was? Because it's not. And are you dealing with these psycho other moms that you deal with that are talking about rainbow cakes that vomit sprinkles, and you're just trying to figure out when you could get a shower? Like, because we could talk about that. I don't know how many people want to hear about that or how many people want to talk about it, but if you do, message me. Because I'm happy to talk about it. I think it's a real thing. I love my kids to death. I love my daughters to death. But this is a real thing for women, for working mothers. I'm sorry. And it's, just people just don't talk about it. They just don't. Because we live in this crazy culture of comparison and everybody, and so many people are competitive and everybody wants to be able to do it all. We talked about this in the past. Being busy is almost like saying, you have a Chanel bag. It's like it makes you so fabulous when you're so busy. And really, do you really want to be that busy? Do you really want to be this busy? A kid or 2 or 25 and have a big job, or not even a big job, just a job. And then you have to deal with cleaning a house and cooking the meals or whatever. And yes, your husband can help, and no, your family can help, and it takes a village, and if you have that, fabulous. But at the end of the day, guess what? You still walked around and you carried those children inside you. Your body needs time to get back to normal. It's just too much. So if you want to talk about it, let's talk. Anywho. So over the weekend, I tried to get my kids some stuff for Easter, What the hell is going on that I couldn't find any Easter eggs or Easter baskets anywhere? In Manhattan, I went to... Well, by the way, I could have went to like Duane Reade or something, the pharmacy, and probably got plastic Easter eggs. But I went to a few other stores. I went to Target. I went to a couple of junk stores, Lots for Less. It's a store in Midtown. It's like, it's like some liquidators kind of store. And no Easter eggs. No plastic Easter eggs. I'm looking at, what is this, not a holiday all of a sudden? Well, they had some Easter candy at Target. I got some Easter candy. Now, granted, this is the Target in Manhattan. It's not the Target, in the suburbs. I'm sure the suburban Targets, if that's where you live, I'm sure they have everything. But by May, they didn't have. And I'm pathetic. So one day this week, I'm going to go over to the Dollar Tree and hope to get some plastic eggs so I could, do a little Easter egg hunt for my kids and, a cheap little plastic basket. Let me tell you something. One of my friends said, well, at least just order the eggs online. I said, on Amazon. I said, yeah. I said, look, right. Like, I did that. I said, you don't think I thought of that already? Of course I did. I look on Amazon. They want like $15 for like a pack of plastic eggs, maybe 50 plastic eggs. I said, I am not spending $15 for a 50 plastic eggs that I could get at the 99-cent store. Please, these things made in Taiwan, they cost them a tenth of a penny to make one egg. Please. And this is why these companies. This is why Amazon is the richest company, because we go on there and we say, yeah, sure, I'll buy a pack of eggs for $15. What I should have done is I should have ordered at Oriental Trading, but I did not. I was not able to forward plan. You see all these things us mothers have to do. Anyway, have you been to Nobu? I have to get this recipe. I'm talking to you. I'm picking it up off of my kitchen table. Okay, back, because that's the length of kitchen table to living room. By the way, welcome to Manhattan. This is the first time I actually had a kitchen table in my kitchen. That's very fancy, I'll have you know. So at Nobu, okay, they make the most delicious. They make this miso-glazed fish. It is so honestly, I love it. And I'm not one of these like sushi eaters where I eat the sashimi and all the fancy stuff. Please, I'm the worst date when it comes to sushi. If you take me to a sushi restaurant, people are ordering sashimi and sea urchin, uni, and wrapped in this and roe this. I'm like, I'll get a California roll with a side of spicy mayo, please. Oh, and a Diet Coke. People like hot sake, cold sake. I'm like, apple martini? Like, really? But Nobu makes this which is a beautiful restaurant, makes delicious miso-glazed fish. And I was reading in the New York Times, they had a very similar recipe. They said it's a version of the famous dish from Nobu. I want to tell you how to make it. And these things, you need to have a few of the Japanese items, but these are the good things to keep in your cabinet. Anyway, so for the fish, they're saying you could use salmon, trout, Arctic char, mahi-mahi, black cod. I think at Nobu, the fish that they use is cod. I think that their miso-glazed fish is miso-glazed cod. I personally would use a white fish for this also. I wouldn't use salmon, but whatever. Okay, so here it is. A quarter cup of mirin, a quarter cup of sake, 3 tablespoons of white or yellow miso paste. You can get that at Whole Foods, by the way, or wherever. A tablespoon of sugar, 2 teaspoons of dark sesame oil, and then about 4 pieces or 1 nice sized piece of the fish. And the recipe is really simple. It's just you combine the mirin and the sake in a tiny little saucepan over the stovetop. Bring it to a boil. Boil it for 20 seconds. And don't boil off too much of the liquid. So it's literally you're putting it you're mixing it up in the bowl. You're putting it in the saucepan. You're boiling it for 20 seconds, turning off the heat, and then you stir in the miso. You stir in the sugar. You mix until all the sugar is dissolved. And then you whisk in the sesame oil. You allow the whole thing to cool. And then you transfer it just into a bowl or leave it in the saucepan. Who cares? Brush it on your fish. And then put those, how you obviously have the fish in a baking tray or a baking dish, and put them in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 hours. Or for the whole day, they don't say go past the day, and then let it marinate, and then then they say grill the fish or do it over the stovetop, 2 or 3 minutes each side, and that's it. If you want to use an oven, you could probably put it. I would say the 375 oven for about 15 minutes. I would probably make it in the oven just because I don't really like to make fish on the stovetop. For whatever reason, I feel like it smells up my apartment. But that's it. I am telling you, this miso glazed cod from Nobu is so delicious. If you haven't had it, you definitely have to go and try it. But I like that they gave you this recipe. I have mirin and miso paste and sake. I have that in my house because One, I like things that I like that kind of glaze on other things. I've made it before. Two, my ex-sister-in-law is Japanese. I mean, I can't make this up. I can't. It's me from New York, born in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island. I got my ex-husband, the British, and then their aunt. My ex-husband's brother is married to a Japanese girl. When I met this girl, she didn't even speak English. By the way, she didn't speak English. But she makes all this sorts of food, and I've always been fascinated with the Japanese culture and a lot of the cuisine for various reasons. And so there's a supermarket in Manhattan called Sunshine Mart. It's down it's around like Cooper Square area, and now I think they have one, by the way, in Brooklyn off the BQE. But I went there and I bought all these cooking stuff because I was making all these Japanese things. I went through this period of being Japanese. I'm kind of like Mame. Have you seen Mame, the movie Mame? If you haven't seen it, you got to see it with Rosalind Russell. And every year she's something. She's another culture. She's taking on something. She redecorates her house. But anyway, I went through a Japanese phase, and I have all this stuff, and and I use it. I actually use the miso paste a lot, and it's delish. It's delish. But this, you have to try this. You have to try it. Okay. So, you know where I went also this weekend? Besides for down crazy rabbit holes of trying to find freaking green plastic grass and Easter eggs, I went to Cafe Habana. It's a delicious restaurant in Nolita. It's been here for a long time. They make the best Cuban sandwich. Do you like Cuban sandwiches? It's like pulled pork and ham and Swiss cheese and pickles. I know, it sounds like a little skeeve. It's so good. And almost this mayonnaise-y thing on this panini bread. The sandwiches, I don't know, maybe $10. It's so good. So I went to Cafe Habana. I was so happy. Haven't been there in a couple of years now, and that was pretty much probably the highlight. That was the highlight. You know what wasn't the highlight? What wasn't the highlight of my weekend was reading in the New York Post. Okay, I don't know if you read this. I'm sure you did. That there's a school in Manhattan, there's a school in New York City that's encouraging the kids to stop using the words, wait for it, mom and dad. And they want them to use more inclusive language because they feel that using mom and dad and parents is offensive, okay? It makes, they feel that those words, they make assumptions about the kid's home, like, and you know what? I said, F this, fuck this. I literally saw this. I read it and I just threw it on the floor. I said, I cannot deal with this. I cannot deal with this. Like, I get it. We're living in a very politically correct age. I agree with it all. I think it's great. And we should be very sensitive to everybody culturally, racially, sexual identity, gender, everything. Sensitive, great, fabulous, sensitive. But guess what? Last time I checked, I'm a mom, and I want my kids to call me mom, whatever the hell they call me, but some version of mommy, okay? But apparently, there is this school, okay, in Nolita, or I should say NoHo, which is, it's actually right near Cafe Habana, to be honest. It's the Grace Church School, NoHo, north of Houston, around the Bond Street area. It's a school. It's kindergarten through 12th grade. And they feel that if you are using the word mom and dad and parents, you're making assumptions that the kids have a mom and dad. And so they are asking all the children to say things like grown-ups and guardians. I mean, can you imagine? It's like, yeah, my mom's picking me up from school. Like, no, little Jack. It's your guardian is going to pick you up, not your mommy. I mean, really? Really? I get it. I get the whole genesis of it. They feel like there's lots of different types of families, and there's families come together in lots of different ways, and some people don't have moms and dads, and that's true. But where are we going to draw the line to this? No? I mean, come on. I get it. You don't want to. I get. There was that trend. Well, I don't even know if it's a trend, but a whole thing a few years ago, 10 years ago, it was like Let's not give a gold star to everybody, or no, it's the hyper parenting, we're giving gold stars to everybody, because our kids are so wonderful and amazing. And then there was another little movement of people that said, no, don't go give gold stars or blue ribbons to every kid or everybody in the class, because, not everybody's a winner, and you got to teach your kids. Sometimes you lose, and that's a part of life, right? But, there's all these crazy parents that still do all that kind of stuff. And, there's all of this balance, right? Like the psychotic parenting is what I call it, psycho parents. And then there's there's the cold parenting. You lost, you lose, you get nothing. but everything in moderation. There's something in between, right? But not the mom and the dad. Get the hell out of here. First of all, my kids, and I will be the first person to say it, their father is amazing. I mean, I think I'm a great mother, but their father is amazing. And I couldn't have had a child with anyone better. And I have always said this. All my friends know this. He does everything for those two girls. And it's adorable and it's great. And I am so lucky. And they are so lucky to have a dad like that. I didn't have a dad like that. It's a beautiful thing. He does the cooking. He takes them shopping. It's like, he teaches them things on the regular basis. It's just wonderful. And I will be damned if my daughters, or if somebody told my daughters, you can't call your dad daddy, or you can't refer to him as your father because you're going to be offending other people. Like, how about this? Fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. Okay. That's what I have to say to you. Okay. Please. These schools. And of course it's in New York. Of course it's in New York. So, Cafe Habana was not my highlight. It was not my highlight. You know what my highlight was this weekend? Liza Minnelli's 75th birthday tribute. I don't know. Did you happen to see that by any chance? So, Liza Minnelli, a favorite of mine, she turned 75 over the weekend. And I don't even know who it was, but there was some group of people that put together the 75th birthday tribute for her. And essentially, it was like making a birthday video for any of your family or friends. And they sold tickets online for it if you wanted to watch. They actually showed how many people were watching while it was airing. There was about 2,400 people, me being one of them. It was fabulous. Okay? All these celebrities, all of these people that she worked with throughout her career and her life, took the time out to do a little birthday tribute, to tell stories about her. It was so great. Joan Collins was on it, Cheetah Rivera, Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, Nathan Lane, Bernadette Peters, big Broadway star, Leah Delaria, she's on Orange is the New Black. She actually sang. She did this whole thing with this big jazz band. I loved it. Mario Cantone. Come on. Do you not love Mario Cantone? Honestly, I don't even know how I'm not friends with Mario Cantone. I said to my boyfriend the other day, because he was there and he was watching it with me. I was like, you got to watch this with me. So bad about you. And so Mario Cantone came on the screen and I was like, oh my God, I love him. And he was like, oh yeah, I know him. And I said, you know him? I said, you know him. I said, well, how about this? Why don't you invite him to my birthday party? How about that? Okay. If I have a birthday party one year, invite him there. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Who's the adorable little one? Kristen Chenoweth, she sang. Oh, it was just so good. It was great. It was great, because so many, in my opinion. And by the way, this came out of the pandemic. Another positive that came out of the pandemic. Would we normally do a streaming birthday tribute to, and where people would be actively buying tickets to it? If it was the regular world was sort of on. I don't think so. But you know what I was going to say? No, actually, I don't know, because all of a sudden I had a thought in my head and it just vanished. See, this is the problem with getting older. But Liza Minnelli, she sold a townhouse in New York. She used to live on 3rd Avenue and 69th Street. She sold it a few years ago. I think now she lives in LA. The only thing that was missing from that birthday tribute was, besides for the fact that Barbra Streisand, really, Barbara, you couldn't make an in-person appearance. You only had to do audio. Everybody else was on camera. They submitted, whoever produced this thing, they sent over their 5-minute or 30-second clip of a happy birthday, Liza. And they were all doing it from their houses, so it was really fun to see that. Barbara Streisand, of course she didn't. Barbara Streisand at her mansion in Malibu. No, they just showed a picture of Barbara, and Barbara was talking. At least she spoke. But really, Barbara, you couldn't get on video for a little bit of Liza or a little bit of the Liza crew, the fans like myself. We would have loved to see you. But I did miss Liza. She didn't obviously come on and say anything. It was a tribute to her. But I was like, after the whole thing was over, which was 2 hours, I said, I wonder what she thought about this. Was she laughing? Was she crying? Did she love it? Of course she loved it. Did she watch it? Oh, she better have watched it. But it would be nice if she went online and said she watched and this is what she thought. But it was so great. I don't know if you know that I learned some things during this thing, if you're a big Liza fan. She was named after a song by Gershwin. Who knew? She made her screen debut at 3 years old. I didn't know that either. And do you know who her godmother is? Liza Minnelli's godmother. I mean, obviously, Hollywood royalty family. Judy Garland's her mother, and her father, the producer. But Kate Thompson. Kate Thompson is Liza Minnelli's godmother, who is the author of Eloise. Eloise. Yes. That's her godmother. It was so good. It was just so good. If you have Spotify, there's a good Liza Minnelli playlist on there. If it's like they curate, these playlists. I like Spotify. They curate the playlist, and there's a good Liza one. And, she sings, my favorite song, she sings Some People. Oh, I love that. She also sings Together Wherever We Go with her mother. They have that on the playlist, too, with Judy. You could watch, actually, a clip of that on YouTube. It's from the 60s, the early 60s. If you type in on YouTube, like Judy Garland, Liza Minnelli singing together, it's the both of them singing. Oh, it's so good. It's just great. I saw her in concert maybe like 15 years ago. She was wearing a red sequin pantsuit. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. By the way, I want to mention to you, and I think that this actually could be product of the week. It's not a product, it's a membership. But how I found out about the tribute was it was from an email. I belong to TDF, which is the Theater Development Fund, and it's tdf.org. And they send emails out for all these streaming things that they've been doing during the pandemic. But it's a nonprofit organization. It supports the arts. It supports the performing arts. And the best part, and the membership, I don't know, it's like $40 a year or something. So the best part about TDF, in my opinion, is they have tickets to things. So they were advertising, I guess, this Liza Minnelli birthday tribute. And I had nothing better to do on Friday night. I was like, Liza, love. Okay, whatever. I think it was $15. And I said, I'm totally doing this because $15 is cheaper than a movie ticket in Manhattan. And maybe on a Friday night I would have been going to a movie if the world was on. But you should check out TDF because, right now they're not obviously selling tickets for live things. But when the world is on, you can get really cheap tickets for shows. Broadway, I don't know if they do so many Broadway, but off-Broadway, off-Broadway. I mean, my TDF membership, besides the fact that I like to support the arts in New York, but it pays for itself. I've seen so many plays, so many shows for tickets $5, $8. I mean, really, where can you see things? Where can you go anywhere for $5? You can't even take your kid to some miserable kid show that you're sleeping 20 minutes into it, you're snoring in your seat. You can't even get to go to a kid show for $8. But if you join TDF, you can find things. So that's how I found about the Liza show. And that's also going to be my product of the week. And I'll save my other one for my next show episode, which I have a lot of good updates on there, by the way. And that's that. And that's that. And on the happiness thing, you know what? That's right. I didn't tell you about the happiness thing. Okay, let me tell you this, okay? Happiness. This is, we'll make it snappy, baby. Okay, so do you know Coursera? Coursera, they do online classes. Okay, well, at Yale University. So you can get all kinds of classes on Coursera. You should check it out. I like Coursera. But at Yale, they had a happiness class, right? And it was It was Psych 157. That was the name of the class. And it was called Psychology and the Good Life, right? And it was one of their most popular classes at Yale University, one of their most popular classes in the entire time of Yale University being a university. So 320 years, that's how long Yale's been around. For 320 years, one of their most popular classes was this Psychology and the Good Life. Well, by the way, that's a long time for people to really be loving and caring about happiness. It goes to show you that it's a thing and everybody wants it or wants to figure out how to crack the code of how to be happy. So Yale decided that, and this class obviously was only taught in person. So Yale decided that they were going to offer a version of the class on Coursera for free. This is free. This is free. It's called, so here it is. This is the name of the class, The Science of Well-Being. I did not take the class yet. I'm going to take it. So it's a class, it's a free 10-week version of the class. And during the pandemic, over 3.5 million people had taken this class, and they say it's amazing. And it's great. And look, there has been, and as we, we know for 320 years at Yale, it's been the most popular, happiness has been a popular topic. But there's been tons of books. I own all of them because I'm a self-help book whore. So tons of popular books on the topic of happiness. Stumbling on Happiness is one of the most popular ones. The Happiness Project is another book. The Art of Happiness, I think the Dalai Lama wrote that one. But their books, it's different than a class. It's different than an online class. And I am excited to take this. I think you should look into taking this also, or tell somebody. You listen, you never know when somebody's going to want to do something like this. And the thing is like, how I found out about this class was I read about it in the paper. And in the paper, they were they made a great point. They said, listen, right now in this day and age, we're all concerned with our physical health, washing your hands, wearing a mask, keeping away from people. But what are people doing for their mental health? And sure, everybody's been, trying to do their online workout classes or maybe go for walks or whatever. But as we see, 70% of alcohol consumption went up since last April. Clearly, people need other things. And alcohol is not going to solve your mental health issues. But anyway, so a lot of people have taken this class, and there's been the things that popped up on what came out of it. Some tips and tools. A lot of things that we know already. Like, about sleeping well. If you sleep well on a regular schedule, you will be happier. Just I guess, is it biochemically? I don't even know if that's the right word. If you have gratitude, you're thankful for things, that makes you inherently happier. If you start, another tip that came out of the course, someone said was, if you start writing down things at the end of the day, you write down, you do some gratitude writing journal. At the end of the day, you just think about all the things that you did throughout the day, good, happy, bad, and different. And one of the things that the teacher said that I thought was the most interesting and what made me want to take the class, to be honest, because I like to do all this kind of stuff, but the thing the most, which is a very simple thing, is the teacher, this woman, Dr. Lori Santos, she said that in the curriculum, they have this exercise that they do where they give they give an American person $5, and they say that you can either take this $5 and spend it on yourself, or you could take this $5 and spend it on someone else. And what would you think is going to make you happier? And most of the people said, "Oh, $5, spending the $5 on myself." And in fact, they spent it, when being asked to spend that $5 on someone else, they had more satisfaction from spending money on someone versus themselves. And that sort of like made me think I want to look into this class. And then right after that, I read that, I was on the subway downtown, and I was going to Cafe Habana, and I get out of the subway at Broadway and Lafayette, and there was a guy at the top of the subway. Oh my God, it makes me so sad. I hope I don't cry. But there was a guy at the top of the subway in a young guy, like, I don't know, 25 years old, in a wheelchair. I think he was missing like a leg or two, and he was so dirty, so just just dirty, and bags, all kinds of bags tied to his wheelchair, homeless. And he was leaning over on the in the wheelchair, and he was taking his fingers and pushing down on the floor for crumbs, and then putting them in his mouth for food. And I gave him whatever money I had in my pocket, and I do not have a lot of money. Well, I don't carry a lot of money, cash at all, nor do I have a lot of money in the bank. Don't get any ideas. And I gave it to him, and for the rest of the day, was so, I don't know, like, I didn't go around telling anybody. Well, I'm telling you, I guess, but I didn't tell anybody, but I was so overwhelmed with, one, his situation, that I wanted to go back and get him a sandwich and give it to him. And in retrospect, I probably should have done that. Maybe I'll go back down there this week. Anyway, I felt so emotional, but I also felt really nice that I, gave this guy whatever I had, and he, he wasn't asking, and it just made me feel happier, it just made me feel better. And so I know that there is some sort of level of, someone once said there's a level of selfishness in giving, and I don't like that we find the negatives in things that are good deeds, right? But this class, I read that thing about the $5 exercise, and then I had this experience right after, and I just thought, you want to know what? That experience, reading that had an impact on me, and then doing this had a little bit of impact on me, and I'm going to take this class. And that's what I wanted to tell you about happiness. So it's on Coursera. It is called The Science of Well-Being. It became instantly popular, and I do hope that, you guys check it out. And if you do, let me know how it is. Anyway, that is all for the Elyse DeLucci show. That's it. That's it. I don't even have a quote today. I have no quotes. I have nothing. We had a long episode. And I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.